All right, thank you so much for your patience, colleagues. We're going to open our council meeting here in council chambers on Tuesday, October 15th, starting a little bit later than expected. It's a lot of activity in North Grenville today, so appreciate everyone's patience. Before I offer some short remarks, I will call our meeting to order and invite a council colleague to read our land acknowledgement. Thank you. So who would like to read our land acknowledgement? Oh, Councillor Sullivan. Sorry, I misread your cue, Councillor Wilson. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Sullivan.
The municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that the municipality operates on the territory of the Anishinaabe. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who now call North Grenville their home. We respect and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship, and we commit to Indigenous-informed decision-making to foster the path towards reconciliation.
Thank you. And before asking council colleagues to approve of our agenda, just some quick notes that I've been invited to pass along. First of all, we'd like to extend our congratulations to our local Rotary Club. They're celebrating 90 years in Kentville, North Grenville this evening at Catered Affairs, incidentally. So, of course, I know we all received invitations, council colleagues, and had to send our regrets because we're here conducting council business this evening. But we, of course, I think all agree that they deserve our heartfelt congratulations for reaching such a significant milestone. Also, a quick reminder that tomorrow is our second annual Mayor for a Day event. Every fall, we invite youth in the community to apply to serve in my chair for the day and also to serve as deputy mayor. So last year, we chose two very talented young men. And this year, as it turns out, we've got two young women from St. Mike's Catholic High School. So mayor, one is Keely Brown, she'll serve as mayor, and the other is Peyton McLean, who will serve as deputy mayor. Obviously, this initiative offers young leaders in our community an up-close look at how the day-to-day workings of a municipality and a council reveal themselves. And also, it's a way for youth in our community to highlight some of the issues that are most important to them. So we had some great applications this year, difficult choices, but we're thrilled to welcome Keely and Peyton tomorrow. Also, just a reminder that the Chamber of Commerce's signature Little Black Dress event is on this Friday. I'm told there are just a few tickets left, so it's an excuse to get dressed up and enjoy the company of some other wonderful leaders in the community. And then finally, in terms of events this weekend, we've got the beef dinner in Bishop's Mills at the United Church. That's on the Saturday. The North Grenville Public Library is also hosting an event called Guiding Tales. It's for dog lovers, and it's happening on Saturday evening. And of course, the Kentville Farmers Market is in its final weeks, so certainly take advantage of all of the wonderful produce and other products that are featured at the Farmers Market. And with that, I think we can go to the agenda. And I'll look to a mover and a seconder for the agenda as presented. Thank you, Councillors Wilson and Strachan. And of course, welcome back, Councillor Strachan. Nice to have you back. I'll look for any comments or questions on the agenda. Seeing none, I'll call the vote then. All in favor, please. Okay, that carries. Next, we'll go straight into disclosures of interest. Disclosures of interest is an opportunity for any council colleague to declare a perceived or real financial benefit or loss derived from this evening's meeting. Any declarations of interest, colleagues? Not seeing any. I'll move on. All right, we have two delegations here today, and I believe we have Ms. Tricia Haberjam. Is she here? Yes. Welcome. Come on down, and we're going to talk about International Repair Day. This is one of two delegations. We are also welcoming Kathy Ashby from House of Lazarus, but we'll start with International Repair Day. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and councillors. and members of the public. I want to explain to you about the Repair Cafe, and on Saturday, the 19th of October, it is International Repair Day. So the Repair Cafe is 15 years old on Friday. It began in Amsterdam in 2009, and it's spread worldwide now. There are a lot of cafes in Amsterdam. There are a lot in Britain. There's even many in the States and Canada. We have Ottawa has a tool library, a lending library of tools, and they host the Repair Cafe every now and then. We even have one in Kentville now that I began. Next slide, please. Around the end of 2023, I'd heard about repair cafes. They are a place you can take broken things that you might otherwise throw out and get them fixed by volunteers. We look for places that are free. We don't pay rent for the space that we use. I was very lucky to be able to get the library on board. They were interested in supporting repair cafes. The boss in the library had heard about repair cafes, so she understood the concept, and she was quite happy to lend us the room for a couple of hours on a Saturday. And the first time we had 2 people come. We had like 5 volunteers and 2 people turned up with broken things. But we decided to carry on, and the next month and the month after, it got more and more people bringing things. A lot of people were very happy. 1 or 2 things we haven't been able to repair because they're either too old and have completely fallen to pieces, or we couldn't get the parts for them. There was one a top that you put on top of your stove that is an induction top, and it had 2 hot plates on it, one of which never worked from day one. This woman had bought it for her mother, and after talking to the manufacturers, they said, well, we'll send you a new one and just get rid of the other one, which had never been used because it didn't work. So she brought it along to our repair cafe, and it was discovered it was a very simple repair. It hadn't been finished properly at the factory when it left. It had just been not completed inside. So we were able to fix it, and so she ended up with 2 brand new induction hot plates. This is all done for free. If we do a repair and there is an item needed, then the person bringing the item in has to offer to buy. Agrees, first of all, that we will replace whatever's broken, and then agrees to pay for it. We can usually source whatever's necessary at a good price, so it's much cheaper to repair the thing than it is to go out and buy a new one. Plus, it saves a lot from the landfills. Next slide. So I would like the council to recognise that we have this repair cafe in Kentville, and that this Saturday, the 19th of October, is International Repair Day. And I don't know if you do proclamations or not, but if you could proclaim it as International Repair Day, I would be very pleased. We do have a lot of volunteers, and I am always open to more volunteers. We don't actually take over the repair. We encourage the people bringing the items that need fixing to stay and watch and learn. And generally they do. Okay, any questions?
So if I'm not mistaken, you held your repair cafe on multiple Saturdays throughout the winter, spring? Is that how it worked?
We hold every Saturday, once a month.
Once a month, okay.
We took the summer off because we decided, we're volunteers and
Yes.
we wanted a break, and we're not doing one in December. But the rest of the time, providing the libraries on board, we're doing it
Great.
there.
And you mentioned that there was just just a small number of things that you weren't able to fix, but most things you're able to offer some sort of repair.
I mean, most things are simple. Someone brought in a pair of swimming trunks with holes in the pockets. So, you know, that was like a 2-minute repair
Right.
job. But nobody, you know, a lot of people don't understand how to do repairs today. So this is what we're hoping to change the culture, I guess. Instead of throwing things away, fix them. You know, if your light doesn't work because the plug's broken, we'll change the plug, you know. We'll show you how to do it next time.
Wonderful. Good. Well, we do have a proclamation for council to consider. I'll just look to council colleagues. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Sullivan?
Thank you. I think that's a great idea. My husband's handsome, but not too handy, so I'd be happy to take a bunch of stuff. Which Saturday of the month do you do it, if it's once a month?
Yes, well, the first half of the year it was a hit and miss affair, but we were doing it this Saturday and we're doing it on the 16th of November. I believe it's the 16th of November. And then we have to renegotiate for January, but.
And do you advertise these?
Yes, I do.
It's
It's usually advertised in the library in there. And I also put up flyers in various places. But I noticed there's a board here. I should put one up here.
I'm sure if you send it here too, we could have it on our social media or on our calendar too.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's
I can
great.
do
Great
that.
idea. Thank you for getting it going.
Excellent. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Barkley.
A note from your presentation, Trish, that October has a theme.
Yes.
Yeah,
Children.
so maybe you'd like to mention that.
Children. Because I happen to have the grandchildren this weekend, I've decided to give it a children's repair theme, and we're encouraging people to bring children's toys, even if you don't play with them still, but they're broken, you might need them fixed. We could do that. And the children might help fix them.
Anything else? So any and all repairs are sort of up. You can walk in with
Yeah, sure.
anything at all.
Yeah.
And your
Well, you've
mighty
got to be able
group
to
of
carry it.
volunteers. Yes, you have to be able to carry it. Yes, fair enough. But you're not limiting what people bring in
No.
for a potential repair.
No.
And of course,
No.
if it's not,
And we'll decide what, you know,
Yes,
that we'll
perfect.
work with them and decide whether or not we can fix it or help them in any way.
excellent. And does the library offer the space free of charge?
Yes, it does. I really have to say thank you very much. They give us the room for free for 2 hours.
Great, amazing. Okay. I see no other hands, so I'll read the recommendation. Free coffee. Did I hear free coffee? Okay, amazing. A cafe, right? A repair cafe.
Yes,
So
yes, we
coffee
do.
is very
We do
part and
offer the
parcel.
cafe, yeah.
Excellent. Wow. Okay, this is a win-win, clearly. Okay. So the proclamation is, whereas the third Saturday in October was established as International Repair Day in 2017, and whereas International Repair Day is intended to promote the value and importance of repairing things instead of throwing things away or replacing, now therefore be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of North Grenville proclaim October 19, 2024 as International Repair Day. So move over to seconder, please. Councillor Strachan, Councillor Sullivan, thank you. Any comments or questions in regards to the proclamation? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Good. Thank you. That carries. Maybe. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you
Thank
again.
you very much.
We appreciate you being here. Many thanks. And we'll make sure to spread the word about the Repair Cafe. Very exciting. So next, we'll invite Ms. Kathy Ashby up in regards to House of Lazarus. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Peckford and councillors of North Grenville. Thank you for the opportunity for having me here tonight to tell you about House of Lazarus, who we are, and how we're helping the residents in North Grenville. I'm joined here tonight with our board chair, Rilla Seward McShane. As you can see, our mission and our vision up on the slide. House of Lazarus has grown immensely over the last few years. We've been open almost 40 years now, but we've worked our way up to many programs, 26 employees, and over 150 volunteers. Just at a glance, you can see how we've grown. So now we have 2 food banks, one in Mountain and one in Ingleside. We also have 2 community hubs. We have a community hub in Morrisburg, which is also has a second story, which is a warming center. And we have a community hub now here in Kemptville at St. John's United Church. Most of our revenue comes from social enterprise business, which is the community brings great amounts of goods that they donate to us. And we have our volunteers and our employees sort through them, recycle what we can, and put the best of the best into our stores. And that's, in turn, how we generate revenue for our programs, but also we do a lot of our outreach through our stores. So our own food bank clients, as well as food bank clients from neighboring food banks, are able to come and shop in our clothing store 4 times a year. So seasonally, they can come and shop. They're given gift cards, so they just shop and then hand in their gift card at the end of their shopping. Also, through our household goods, we have people that access our furniture, household goods, linens, dishes through our Starting Over program. So this could be fire victims, women leaving shelters, it could be breakups in marriages, and somebody is left struggling, so they're able to come and through our outreach program, through our stores, they can benefit from what the community has donated. Advocacy, our employees have a great knowledge of community programs and resources, and we advocate on behalf of our clients every day. And I can say that definitely our numbers are going through the roof. The calls are coming in daily, and people are needing more and more help. So we're really glad that we have a team that is so supportive and will just go that extra mile for people that are in need. And then we have many programs. I think I lost count at 18, but we have many programs that help to fill in the gaps in the community. So our income tax program, we're one of the few in Ontario, I've found out from CRA Canada, that we're one of the few in the province who run the income tax program year-round. And our volunteers are so knowledgeable. They can go back 7, 8 years. So really helps people that have kind of fallen off the radar to get back on track. Community kitchens, we now have our own community cook, and so that's made our cooking programs and what we offer in the community even greater. And I'll speak about our community kitchens that we've done here in North Grenville. And our Handyman Hero program, it provides urgent repairs for vehicles and houses. And I'll talk about our North Grenville partnership as well. So food insecurity, the numbers just keep going up. Last year, and we took our numbers from August to August, we had 139 residents from North Grenville alone that were fed through our food bank. And that number over doubled looking at the year before. We're really thankful to Second Harvest program. Here in North Grenville, Johnson's Independent Grocer, Starbucks, and the Kemptville Hospital, all through the Second Harvest program, donate food to our food bank, which has made a huge difference. Also, Feed Ontario's One More Bite program, Food Basics donates a lot of milk and other food items to us through that program. And Giant Tiger is also a regular donor to us. It's made a world of difference because the needs and our numbers in the food bank have gone up so dramatically over the last year that without the Second Harvest program and these other programs, I'm not sure where we'd be at. Operation Backpack, it has grown in North Grenville as well. So we're feeding 40 children now a week. And we're at South Branch Elementary School, Kemptville Public. Oxford on the Rideau called us this September, so they're now receiving as well as the Kemptville Youth Center. So this program provides a bag of food. Our volunteers take the bags of food to the local schools, and it provides a bag of foods that are put into children's backpacks on Fridays as they leave school. And those bags contain 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and 4 healthy snacks. We always have 2 a fresh fruit and vegetable in there as well. Nothing exciting in those bags, I have to tell you. You know, you're getting brown beans and you're getting tuna and you're getting, you know, carrots and apples, but it's so well received. Overall, we're just about at 300 in that program a week, but 40 here in North Grenville. The Kemptville Youth Center, we have a great partnership with them as well. So quarterly, we're giving them food gift cards so they can go out and shop for food that they need for their programs. We're also doing food sharing. So as we're bringing every Friday their Operation Backpack bags of food, we're also having conversations. If we have an abundance of something and they're in need, we're definitely sharing with them. And in turn, they help us. So this summer, their youth came to help us with one of the friendship lunches that we were serving. And also last year at Spirit of Giving, which is coming up next month, the Kemptville Youth Center provided youth that came and popped popcorn for us and learned how to make cotton candy and just were incredible that day. So we're glad with that partnership. This year, as I mentioned before, St. John's United Church approached us and really wanted to see if they could be part of a piece of the puzzle in helping people in need in this community, and showed us the amount of space that they had in their building. And we opened a community hub. Right now, we're there every Tuesday, and we only opened in June. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see we've already had 50 walk-ins, and being there just once a week since June, we're happy with those numbers. What's made a huge, which has been huge successfully, that's not great grammar, our community kitchen with youth, and it's a partnership with Way. So we had 2 sessions over this summer, each with 16 youth, and now we started again in September. We had 16 youth coming out and had a waiting list of 8, so we're starting a second group in October. So the youth get together. There's a cook from Way and our community cook help the youth to prepare a meal together, and then the youth take that meal home, portions home with them so that they have food at home. So what we're adding, Way was able to donate an apron to each of the youth this fall, and we're able to donate a different cooking utensil each time. So they got meat thermometers in September and learned how to use those. And I'm not sure what's up for October, but our cook is out, and the intent is that 10 months, the end of June, that they'll have their own little cooking utensils that they can then take home and be using on a regular basis. We have a men's mental health support group starting, and that's with Chuck LeBlanc, a registered psychotherapist from the Kemptville Stress Relief Center. We have victim services and Connect Youth on site on a regular basis, meeting their clients. And we use our Neighbors Helping Neighbors Fund at the Community Hub. It's really a fund that helps keep people housed and helps to house people when they're experiencing homelessness. And we were successful this summer in providing first and last month's rent to one gentleman who was living rough in Kemptville, and he was able to secure housing. So we're happy with that. But we're also paying rent arrears, heating arrears, and hydro arrears to help families in this community on an ongoing basis. And I mentioned before our Handyman Heroes program. So JM Automotive in Hexton has been a great partner over the past years. They assist at least 8 families each year. Sometimes it's families or people, individuals that are actually living in their vehicles that they're helping to keep them on the road. Other times it's families that just can't afford the repairs. Car repairs are so significant. So they give a discounted rate on their repair bills, on the materials that they're using to repair the cars and their labor. We've had people who've come to us and said, you know, I have $2,000 quote, and there's no way my family can afford this, but to get to work, I need this vehicle. And they've walked out of JM Automotive with under $500 spent, and the repair is all done. So it's an amazing partnership. They're amazing people. So some of the other ways that we're participating here in North Grenville, we're part of the Friendship Lunches now, every 5th Friday. We provide the lunch. We're part of Shalom Small Homes Kemptville. I was just helping interview for potential tenants a few weeks ago, and really happy that that project is coming to a completion and people, 4 seniors, will be housed shortly. We were at the Community Day and Resource Fair. We're part of Compassionate Care North Grenville. I was on the committee to help put together the charter for that. I'm part of the secretariat for the Community Forum, and we've been taking part in the Spirit of Giving last year, and we're again on board this year working with Salvation Army and Canadian Tire, and we're annually at the Kemptville Mistletoe Fair. So last year, we lost our food bank to a devastating fire. We're now regrouping and looking towards the future. We will be building a new food bank on donated land in the village of Mountain. House of Lazarus is hoping that the municipality of North Grenville will consider a long-term capital investment in our new food bank. We would be gracious to accept any amount, but would like Council to consider $10,000 a year for the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and providing so many details on the variety of programs that you operate. I'll just look to council colleagues for any questions. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Kathy. Thank you for coming and making this presentation. I think most people know House of Lazarus as a well-used food bank, but until this presentation, I didn't realize the number of wonderful programs that you're involved with. I'd like to know, like, what level of cooperation or collaboration you have with the other food banks in the area, Salvation Army and Knights of Columbus, if at all.
Yes, Salvation Army, actually, Calvin and Aaron came to our open house at our community hub. And I know that we reach out to Knights of Columbus as well. especially to talk about different clients and how we can each support them. The unfortunate part is that there's enough poverty in this area in general that all the help people can get, the more help people can get, the better. We do work with each other. We do, if we have, it's funny, sometimes the donations that a food bank, you'll get a pallet of that, you know, it might be hard to get through with best before dates on. So we'll call up Salvation Army and they'll do the same. When they have an abundance, they'll call us up and we'll do some swapping and trading when we can, because it just makes sense that we share the resources we have so that everybody is being fed. So we do have a cooperative relationship with them, for sure.
And maybe just building on that question, because clearly you serve a need here in Kemptville, North Grenville, right? But maybe you serve it both differently through some of the programs you provide, like the backpack program, obviously, like making sure kids bring home food for families during the weekend. Do you see possibilities to go beyond sort of sharing of sort of food bank donations? Do you see that there's room for collaboration in terms of some of those program offerings when you're looking at how to better respond or increase your capacity to respond to the needs of North Grenville? I know that obviously straddle a border, so you're serving multiple communities, obviously, and you're likely informed on the programs you're delivering based upon the needs of more than one community. So I totally recognize and respect that. I'm just curious to know if you've sort of been able to have that conversation with the Salvation Army on some of those programs that are quite effective, like the backpack program, in terms of seeing if you could jointly work to sort of expand the availability of that program or what have you. I think to Deputy Mayor's point, we see that the need is significant, and we see that there are multiple, or at least 2, maybe 3 food banks involved, because the Knights of Columbus, as I understand it, operates its own food bank, which is perhaps more informal than formal. But where collaboration can take place, it seems to be a practical way to expand your shared capacity to have an impact. So just curious if you've had any other conversations with the Salvation Army or other service providers.
Definitely with other service providers all the time. Collaboration is key. We couldn't offer the programs we do without collaboration. And you can see that with the community hub, how many other services in town are joining together to make that a successful project. We are part of Food Banks United, which is a group of local food banks from Brockville right through to Alexandria in Eastern Ontario, and the Salvation Army has been part of that. So at those discussions, we definitely talk about programs that we're offering, how can we help each other, how can we support each other. I know specifically more with Salvation Army, it's been collaborating on how we can help individuals or families in the area. So they might be able to provide this and this, but that family still needs this and this. Can we provide it? And that definitely, those phone calls go back and forth. So they'll call and say, you know, we're not able to help this family in the way they need. Can you? So they're aware of our programs and do reach out, and we do definitely accommodate and help.
And thank you for that. And what's the expected cost of building the new food bank? I mean, obviously, we were so sorry to learn of the obviously tragic fire that destroyed your previous building, but do you have a sense of what the new building will cost you to build? We learned, actually, I think through Councillor Wilson, that land had been donated, which is fantastic.
The land has been donated.
Yeah.
And in the partnership with Scotiabank, where we were located, where we had the fire, when we sold that property, that money came back to us, which wasn't, was donated back to, from Scotiabank, so we were really happy about that. And we also have some insurance money from the fire. So all in all, I'm thinking that we have about half of what we need. Maybe a little bit more, but yeah.
And will your new food bank house other programs, or will it be specific to the food bank?
It will house a furniture store because that is a great need, and we just don't have the space where we're located right now. And we're hoping that the revenue then from the furniture store will pay for the operating costs of the whole building. So it will house our food bank warehouse, as well as our food bank shopping area, because it's a shopping cart model that we offer. And then also all of our offices will be there. And that's where most of the assistance takes place, right? People coming in and having those conversations as to what they need and how we can help, or where we can direct them to get that help.
Excellent. Any other questions? Councillor Sullivan?
Thank you very much for the presentation. As Deputy Mayor said, you offer way more programs than I realized. So kudos to you and all the volunteers and the staff that help out with that, because certainly there is a need. I'm just wondering, have you reached out to other municipalities that you do serve residents in for similar donations as well?
We will be, yes.
Okay, so we're the first ones
You're the
to,
first ones.
we're the trailblazers.
Trailblazers.
Okay, thank you, and wish you all the best in the rebuild.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, Councillor Wilson, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Peckford, just, Kathy, perhaps you want to reiterate some of the events that you're having in the future and what types of events you have towards fundraising. I know you've got Persons with a Purpose coming, and it's a huge awareness when you attend an event like that and you hear the stories of what House of Lazarus has done to help these people. You have individuals that come and do testimonials, and anyways, thank you for everything you're doing.
You're welcome. We also, Nancy Morgan has reached out as well, and she's organizing on our behalf at St. John's United in January, I believe, a murder mystery night. And the proceeds from that will go to help offset the costs of the community hub. So we're excited about that as well.
And when are you hoping to have your new food bank and related services offices up and running?
It should be up and running, I'd say March. So very.
Wow. Oh, so you're moving
The well
quickly.
goes in next week, Nancy. So it's going to start and move along very quickly.
Great. Wow. Okay, exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. Okay, anything else, council colleagues, in regards to the delegation? And I presume your request for funding is through the delegation or through a separate community grant application? Right. Okay. I'm now getting filled in. So the motion for consideration is that we accept the report, House of Lazarus North Grenville Connection, for information purposes, and direct staff to include consideration of the multi-year request from House of Lazarus into the 2025 budget and beyond. I just want to say, Kathy, there are many, many demands on the 2025 budget. So I think the guidance being offered tonight is that it is being considered, but not necessarily confirmed or secured.
Yep.
Is that my understanding of the motion? I know we have some outstanding requests that we weren't able to meet last year. So and we do provide some ongoing support to one of the food banks in town. So I think we're going to have to step back and really look at what's realistic. So I just want to be clear that it's not obvious to me what the 2025 budget will look like yet. So, but certainly consideration of the request can be contemplated as part of what staff are looking at. But I just would want to manage expectations at this stage. So I believe that the motion is written in that spirit. Is that your understanding? Okay. So then I'll look for a mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Strachan. Okay. Okay, excellent. So with that in mind, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, great. And thank you for coming, for your tremendous dedication to the community. I certainly know many, many people who have benefited from your services, and they're obviously very appreciative. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll just move things along. We've completed our delegations, so we'll go to the consent agenda. As we know, colleagues, items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and no longer require further discussion and are enacted in one motion. The exception to this rule is that a member may request that one or more items be pulled for discussion. Is there anything that council colleagues wish to pull from the consent agenda? Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to poll, I guess it's K6-2, Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Funding.
Great, thank you. Anything else in terms of modifications? Okay. Then we'll look for a mover and a seconder for the consent agenda as amended, please. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sullivan. I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Next, we'll move on then. We have our 2024 Communities in Bloom community evaluation. And I believe who is doing that report today? Oh, Hillary's here. Ms. Chanot. Hello.
Actually, it'll be Ashley Cuthbert giving the presentation tonight.
Okay, Ms. Cuthbert. Sorry, I hadn't looked that far over. So welcome to you both. Go ahead, Ms. Cuthbert.
All right, yeah, through your worship, this report is regarding Communities in Bloom. Next slide. So in 2024, North Grenville participated in Communities in Bloom at the provincial level for the second consecutive year. Communities in Bloom is a volunteer-driven organization that encourages community involvement, collaboration, and ongoing improvement through competitive evaluation. Communities are assessed across 6 key categories, which you can see on the screen. Evaluations consider contributions from 3 sectors: business, residential, and municipal. Each participating community creates a publicly available handbook. Ours can be found online or at the front desk of the municipal office. Judges are then taken on a guided tour of the community, highlighting key areas of focus. Communities that achieve a 5 Bloom rating can advance to the national and international levels, representing the highest standard of community excellence. Next slide. So I'm pleased to report that North Grenville has improved our Bloom rating, moving from 3 out of 5 Blooms in our inaugural year to 4 out of 5 Blooms in 2024. This year's evaluation shows progress across all categories. As outlined in the slides, our scores have improved significantly from 2023 to 2024, with an overall increase in our total score. The most substantial improvement was in the urban forestry category, while our highest ranking category this year is landscape. So these results reflect significant growth in areas such as community planning, conservation, and aesthetic enhancement. This progress is a testament to the community's ongoing efforts and dedication to continuous improvement. Next slide. The judges provided several recommendations to help improve our community across the 6 evaluation categories. While a full report, including their grading, is attached to the agenda, I'll highlight some of the key points from their evaluation. Their suggestions included increasing floor displays around hamlet signs or use alternative materials, wrap hydro boxes with town logos or artist design graphics, increase sidewalk weeding in the downtown core, develop and implement a tree policy, consider development or training for staff to enhance horticultural knowledge and skills, protect and grow the urban forest during development, conduct a comprehensive tree inventory, create a detailed landscape maintenance plan, add more wayfinding signs for key locations, reconsider planter placement on Prescott Street Bridge, and use larger hanging baskets in downtown Kemptville. It is a recommendation of staff that departments consider the feedback in their work plans moving forward, and any financial impacts to action the recommendations will be managed within existing budgets, and if additional funding is required to support an initiative, staff will return to council for approval. Next slide. I'd like to take a moment to thank the many people who contributed to making this initiative a success, including our wonderful judges, Angela Vieth and Barbara Allen. Special thanks goes out to our tour hosts and profile book contributors, including the following: the staff at Ferguson Forest, and Finian for showing us the Good Spirit Garden, Leela at the Kempville campus, Emily from Kirk Farm, Linda and Victor of the Horticultural Society for their work in Rotary Park, the North Grenville Historical Society staff, the Dennis family for showing their pollinator and habitat gardens, Nadia and Philip from the North Grenville Habitat Gardeners and UCDSB staff, Jenna and Jacqueline for their pollinator gardens at Crozier Park, Dave and Robert Rito Woodland Ramble, Parks Canada staff, Michelle from the North Grenville Giving Garden, Carmen for showing us around her stunning property, municipal staff and senior management, including Joe Petchnig, and a heartfelt thank you to all the residents and businesses who helped our communities bloom in their own unique ways. Next slide. We're excited to participate in Communities in Bloom again in 2025, and we'd welcome anyone who'd like to get involved. Anyone who wants to get involved can reach out to us at the contact on the slide. And our goal is to form a Communities in Bloom team that can help take on new exciting initiatives for the year ahead, and we encourage everyone to contribute to make our community even more vibrant and beautiful. Next slide. In conclusion, I ask that Council receive the evaluation and direct staff to consider the judge's recommendations in preparing future work plans and the budget. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Any questions, colleagues? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Ms. Cuthbert. Thanks for the report. This has been a great program, and thanks to Hillary and yourself for driving it forward. And it looks like we had a great report this just our second year in the program. I wanted to highlight the profile book. I think it's a wonderful document, and I wondered if it's available at the front desk if people wanted to pick it up, or how are we using it? It'd be a shame not to have more people take a look at it, because it's really quite stunning to look at, and it's full of great information. Is it available at the front desk? Do we have copies?
Yes, there are copies available at the front desk, and it is available online as well.
So the copies that are available are on display or by request?
I think there are sometimes copies available in the display area when there is room. There is often a lot of material to put out there, but it is also behind the desk, and our staff have a nicely binded copy that they can give out.
I think to Deputy Mayor's point, it's just such a beautiful document. It would be great for members of the community who may not be aware of the Communities in Bloom program to sort of be pleasantly surprised by what is a lovely publication and really does such a nice job of featuring some of our best and most beautiful assets. So hopefully you'll have enough that you'll be able to sort of kind of keep them floating out there. I'll recognize, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor, were you done your questions? Okay. Councillor Wilson?
Through you, Mayor Peckford, also those copies could be available as a welcome package to people that are moving into town. It's beautiful.
Our understanding is the welcome package may be in the process of being updated, so maybe that's something that could be included. It is, because we have such a large municipality, the nice thing about a document or a publication like that is it features different parts of the municipality, right, in some of the hamlets, as well as the downtown of Kemptville. So it's a really neat, I think, way of introducing people to Kemptville. I think that's a great suggestion. Other hands, other questions, colleagues? I just have one. It's a long list of recommendations. So, and obviously we had an opportunity to meet the judges, and they were fabulous, and it was so interesting to learn about their experience with Communities in Bloom and how they've been involved in their own communities. If you had to choose a top 5, have you kind of looked at how you might be able to prioritize the list of recommendations? I know, as I think our Director of Parks and Rec is aware, we all heard about the floral baskets, right, that didn't thrive this year for a variety of different reasons, including weather and, weird, very humid conditions. So, but if you were to take a top 5, is a list of recommendations provided kind of from highest to lowest priority, or is it up to you to kind of work with senior staff to figure out what is doable in the next couple of years?
Through your worship, I'd say that senior management has seen the list, and you're right, it is a very long list. So I think we do need some more time to go through and figure out what could be achievable, especially in the near future. I'd say the downtown baskets and just general improvements focused on downtown were definitely some of the ones that were highlighted. But no, the list wasn't provided to us in any order, and the judges did highlight and they really stress that they know that a lot of these recommendations they put in almost every community's feedback portfolio, but they know for some communities it's just not attainable given the size of the community. For example, hiring an arborist or having a horticulturist on staff. While they would love to see every community do that in Ontario, we can't afford it for a lot of communities, but also they're just not out there. You can't find many trained horticulturists who will work in rural communities. That being said, and one of the judges herself was a counselor for 17 years, so she absolutely got the limitations for smaller communities.
Thanks, that's helpful. And just one other, the recommendation on urban forest protection is certainly interesting. I think it's a departure from what maybe we do now. We'd have to ask our director of planning, of course. But I'm curious, did they have the opportunity to visit Ferguson, right, and or the Kenville Campus Agroforestry Center? Because certainly they're part of our kind of urban forest, if you will. Like they're very close to, certainly the Kenville Campus Agroforestry Center is right on the periphery of our downtown, and Ferguson Forest has a huge footprint in our community. So obviously those are publicly managed protected forests. So I'm just curious to know if they were kind of considered as important assets from the perspective of community in bloom.
Through your worship, absolutely. Those were the first two stops the judges made on their welcoming day. They spent the most time at the FFC and the Kenville campus of all the stops. And they absolutely were impressed by the work that has been going on there. And I'd say that recommendation isn't saying that it hasn't been done. It's just to continue growing on what is already being done.
Certainly. And I assume you'll have that conversation with our director of planning on the recommendation is very specific, right? In terms of larger caliper trees, 2-year fee holdback, to ensure trees meet municipal standards, are acceptable species, and receive proper care. I mean, obviously, there's a degree of oversight that would be, I guess, required that we would have to determine whether or not that's feasible, but it's an interesting recommendation nonetheless. I don't know, Mr. Guy, if you're ever involved in the sort of the consultation with new developers on the species of trees to plant. Is that something that is addressed through Parks and Rec, or is that through the Director of Planning mostly?
Thanks for the question, Madam Mayor. No, that's not something that generally I've been involved in. It usually works through the planning department, through the site plan of new developments.
Okay, excellent. Well, it's certainly something, I guess, that will stimulate some discussion internally about how we manage some of that urban forest protection. So anyway, it's a good list of things certainly to consider. And do you expect to do communities in bloom next year? Is that the idea?
Through your worship, it is going to be included in the proposed 2025 budget. As we were saying to council who attended the little reception we had at the beginning, usually there's a color for the year for communities in bloom. At this time, they have announced that they will be doing a theme instead of a color. They haven't told us what that theme will be, so we'll let everyone know once we do.
Do you have a sense of how many communities participate in Ontario or in Canada? Do they give you a number?
I believe there was 8 that were in attendance to the symposium this year, and I believe that was all that took part in Ontario.
So just 8. Oh, interesting. Okay. Councillor Sullivan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I guess there's no one here from Public Works, but perhaps you know the answer. For the upgrades on County Road 43, the expansion, is there a landscaping plan that's included in that would include trees along County Road 43? Is that part of the contract?
In terms of the plantation of trees?
Yes.
On County Road 4? I'm quite sure that is included. I see Mr. Guy nodding, so.
Okay, and who's responsible to ensure that they're maintained and taken care of? Would that be for a certain period of time, the contractor? Or would it be up to Public Works or Parks and Rec. I don't know who.
You know, we're having a County Road 43 information session on November 6th. So I think we should make sure that Tomlinson and Aegis and county staff get us that information. So I think it's an excellent question, Councillor Sullivan. And I know it's on the sort of back end of the project, but let's get that clarity during our information session.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Okay, so in regards to this, I apologize, Deputy Mayor. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a brief comment related to your question or comments about the multiple recommendations. I think you'll find that when the BIA brings their what they call their municipal asks to council, that there'll be a lot of support for recommendation number 3 and the last 4. Those are a total of 5 recommendations that I think you'll get a lot of support from the BIA about.
It certainly seems that way, or that they align well with what we're hearing from our local BIA. Councillor Strakian?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just looking at this list, I mean, I think that there are some that are definitely more along the cosmetic lines, such as weeding and planters and so on, and ones that are long-term policy implementation changes, like the tree policy and looking at the tree inventory and so on. So I think that there's perhaps some room in there to look at the various departments to be able to say how could we achieve some of these things, because there's long-term planning that would be required in some of them that aren't just as I'll say simple as putting in new planters or different kinds of flowers and so on. So it would be nice to hear back from the departments as to whether or not they see changes coming forward, or how they feel that things such as a tree policy, using that as an example, because that's a fairly big one, how they could see that moving forward as well. Thank you.
For sure. That's key. So at the end of the day, I guess you'll be proposing the 2025 program through the budget, and perhaps at that time can give us an update on where some of those recommendations are able to be actioned, if not this year, in forthcoming years. My only other question is, I know, and maybe it's for Mr. Guy, since you happen to be here this evening, I know we've heavily relied on some of the volunteers through the Kemptville Horticultural Society to support, right, some of the gardens in our municipally owned parks. I'm just curious, and I'm not sure who should answer this, so I leave it up to you, but are we fairly confident that that sort of volunteer base that has been very dedicated to a few of our municipal parks is healthy enough to sort of sustain the contributions they've been making to beautifying, our downtown? I think they were maintaining the island at Equinel for a while. I'm just curious to know what your read might be on that relationship we have with volunteers in the community, or obviously many different organizations are struggling to sustain and attract new volunteers. So just curious to know how you see the situation.
Thanks for the question, Madam Mayor. Certainly, the Horticultural Society assists us greatly, specifically with Rotary Park and Equinel Park. They do an enormous amount of work, and we do rely on their expertise and suggestions for the park staff. It would be great if we could, they had the means to help us out in other areas. I think what you're saying is part of the issue. They only have so many volunteers and so much time to assist us. But, it's one of the areas that when you have that kind of experience from certain community members, it certainly helps our staff in maintaining our parks, and especially our parks that have flower gardens and whatnot. So I think, if we can do anything we can to help them sustain that and provide that service to us, we will, because it's very much valued by our department.
Have we ever considered working more closely with Merrickville in this regard? Because I know they have a passionate and seems to be informed volunteer base. It'd be interesting, I guess, moving into the future to know if there's any potential collaboration where there could be some shared expertise between and among the two communities to to address, to your point, there's only so much sort of volunteer power, right, available to a higher growth municipality like ours. I'd just be curious to know if there is an opportunity for collaboration. Of course, I'm sure the volunteers in Merrickville are very much focused on Merrickville, but maybe there's some opportunity for dialogue to see where we might be able to benefit from some of their insights.
Certainly, we could look at that. And I think just with the progression that the Communities in Bloom project and the Corporate Services Department have taken over the last couple of years, I think, Parks and Rec will certainly look to work more closely with Hillary's team and to be able to continue to expand what we're doing and beautify our community.
Great, okay. So then I'll look for a mover and a seconder, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sullivan, in regards to the following, that Council received the 2024 North Grenville Evaluation and Rating from Communities in Bloom, and that Council directs staff to consider the feedback in preparing future work plans and budgets. So I don't see any other hands, so I'll call the question. All in favor? And we're just going to take 5 minutes. Thank you. All right, welcome back, colleagues. And we're just looking to resume our meeting. This is our meeting Tuesday, October 15th here in North Grenville Chambers. We took a brief health break and now we're back with some remaining items. So we're looking to K.3.2, which is the approval of Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Fund Awards. Ms. Janot, are you walking us through that, or is it the clerk's office? Ms. Janot. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Through your worship. So the EDI fund was created earlier this year, and I'll note that it was a little different than some of our other funds, particularly because the committee decided to redact all the identifying information from the applications and review the applications in an open session at the committee level, and then that is why it's coming to you tonight in open as well. Next slide, please. So the committee has decided to award 5 of the applications, and we received 9. We did find that a couple of them were duplicates, so we had removed those for the committee's benefit just to make their decision-making a little bit easier. And the 5 they decided to award were making a community garden more accessible, providing space for the Muslim community, supporting an inclusive choir, providing books that are accessible for different types of learners, and providing 2S LGBTQIA+ programming. Next slide, please. And as you can see here, this is the 5 that were awarded and the amounts they are awarded as well. All of them were at most $3,000, which was the general maximum we had set within the guidelines. But we did offer to give more as well, but this was the max that everyone asked for. Next slide, please. So the total of the ask was $14,923. So that does come within the $15,000 budget. So we are asking council to award these 5 applications.
Great, thanks. Obviously, my understanding is there were a couple of applications that were not recommended. Is that correct? How many applications in total did we receive?
There were 9 total that were received through the application process. A couple were excluded because they were not-for-profits, and then we had removed the duplicates as well.
Great, thank you. So, colleagues, any questions in regards to these events or proposals, recommendations? Can you describe the inclusive choir? What is an inclusive choir?
Through your worship, sometimes it's difficult to describe these applications without identifying exactly who the group is that is putting them on until we're kind of past the point of providing the funds. But it is a choir that will support people of all abilities and capabilities.
If these recommendations are coming to council tonight, we're not disclosing the actual name of the recipients? I'm a bit confused.
Not until it's official that they are receiving the funds, but they will be announced once publicly approved tonight. So we have a press release ready to go out for later this week.
Okay. So just help me understand again. So the process is, I know I'm part of the EDI committee, so I know these applications were discussed at length by the committee itself, and then these recommendations are being brought forward, both in closed and in open, or just in open here tonight?
Just in open tonight.
Okay. And so the disclosure of the recipients only happens when?
After council's made their final decision. So you haven't passed this resolution yet. So once it's passed, we'd be happy to go through and name them, identify them through their applications if you'd like, but otherwise we will announce them through the press release.
Right. Okay. So maybe for council's information, it would be helpful to provide that information once and if the recommendation passes. Okay. So with that in mind, any other questions, council colleagues? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, to Ms. Janot. Just the scoring, I'm curious to get a little bit more detail. I mean, you allow 20 points for project description. So if they all got 15 out of 20, does that mean they lacked something in their description? Or I'm not clear on these 3 scoring categories. Impact, I understand, and capacity, I think I understand. But project description, why would they score less than 20 on a project description?
Through your worship, and I don't know if Councillor O'Sullivan, who is there, has anything to add, but the general comment was that there's always room for improvement.
I think there was a couple of additional questions that we had around each one of them. And so we felt that if there had been a more thorough description of the project, we might have been able to have awarded the full 20 points if there was no questions left.
Sorry, this is a conversation between Councillor O'Sullivan and myself, but so the applications were written applications. They weren't presented, obviously.
No.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? And in terms of applications that were rejected, how will applicants be notified? And do you provide any guidance in terms of recommendations for next year? What's that feedback loop like?
Through your worship, so we will notify everyone who applied. And then we do have some suggestions for some of those that weren't successful as well.
And is that relayed in the formal communication, or is it through phone, or is it through a follow-up of what is requested?
No, we will give that feedback immediately.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So with that in mind, colleagues, if there are no other questions, then I will look for consideration of the recommendation, which is that council approve funding for the EDI Inclusion Fund in the amount of $14,083 for the following applications, and they're presented before you. Accessible Gardens, $3,000. Prayer Events, $2,083. Inclusive Choir, $3,000. Reading for All, $3,000. And Youth Programming and Benches, $3,000. So I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Strachan, thank you. And in the absence of any other dialogue, I'll go ahead, Councillor Strachan.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Ms. Janot, just to clarify, are they all looking to complete their projects within the next calendar year? Has that been confirmed that they'll be able to accomplish that?
Through your worship, so correct. They have all agreed that they will complete these within a year, within 12 months. We were a little, sorry, there's some echo. We were delayed a little bit with this fund getting released in terms of the budget year. So we will see a new fund released earlier in the next year. So we will have some projects overlapping.
Okay. Any other questions before I call the question? Yep, go ahead. Councillor Wilson.
Through Mayor Peckford to Ms. Janou, they have to provide a report after, and what is the deadline for the report after the event or the use of the funds?
Through you, the mayor, I believe we give them a month to complete the report, but we will work with them to always complete the report. We do say generally in our funding guidelines that we will not release subsequent funds if that report is not complete, but we'll always work with the applicants.
And would, in the next uptake of this, would any of these that are receiving the funding be eligible for a second round?
Through your worship, I think they would be eligible if they completed the form. A lot of our funding does require that there is some sustainability to the program. So we do like to see organizations not rely on the funding source, but they would absolutely be able to apply.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else before I call the question? Not seeing anything. I will call the question. All in favor, please. Thank you. Okay, great. Next, we are moving on to Parks, Rec, and Culture. Oh, Ms. Janot, you were going to provide the names of the successful applicants. Can you do so now? If you're able to call them up?
Yes. So the accessible garden is the Kemptville Campus Community Garden. Aisha Tariq, as well as another applicant, applied for providing space for the Muslim community. So we went with Aisha's application. The Inclusive Choir is brought to you by Community Living. The Accessible Book Program was applied for by Emily Last. And the 2S LGBTQIA plus programming was the Rainbow Youth Alliance.
Did the individuals apply as individuals or apply on behalf of an organization?
So there was a mix of the applications. The ones that I identified as individuals did apply as an individual.
Okay, thank you very much. So next we'll move on to Parks, Rec and Culture, key point 6.1, the contract award for Heron's Nest. Mr. Guy, or is it Mr. Peshnik? Mr. Guy? Okay.
Yes, it will be myself. Thank you, Mayor Peckford. So the Heron's Nest Park Request for Proposal Award is the report that I will be speaking to this evening. Heron's Nest Park Development, which is within the Temple Residential Development, was a recommendation in the 2020 Parks, Recreation and Culture Master Plan document. The park area is 0.74 hectares. WSP Engineering was contracted to complete conceptual and detailed design for the park. $350,000 was budgeted for park construction and design. Request for proposal was issued on September 17th, 2024. 7 submissions were received. All submissions were reviewed by the Director of Parks and Rec and WSP engineering staff. Submissions pricing ranged from $475,000 to $860,000. ASL Contractors is the recommended choice based on the completeness of their submission, qualifications, proposed schedule, and unit prices. The project budget, as I mentioned, was $350,000 for consulting services and construction. Staff will update the 2025 budget based on work completed and invoiced for the fiscal year 2024. Project timelines. Once contract is signed, they will begin site mobilization and tree clearing and grubbing November of 2024 and complete the project mid-June 2025. A project kickoff meeting will commence prior to any work beginning, and PRC staff will include communication staff in project startup meeting to ensure the public is up to date and aware of when the project will get underway. And this is conceptual design of the park. Just I think council may have had a look at this a while back, but just as a review. This is the design for the park. And if you'll notice phase 2, we are not at this point doing anything with phase 2. It is just phase 1 that will be completed at this time. And it will have the active play equipment installed and a general play area for unorganized active play. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. Council colleagues, any questions? Deputy Mayor, go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Director Guy. 2 questions. How is the relocation of the cairn progressing? That's my first question.
Through you, Your Worship, to Deputy Mayor Barclay, the relocation of the cairn is part of this work. So it is included in the documents that were provided as part of the request for proposal. So the contractor who is awarded the job will work with the individuals to ensure the cairn gets placed as part of the works in the parks. And we will work closely with Amy Martin as well in the planning department to ensure that happens.
So you anticipate the cairn to be moved by the time the work is completed in June?
That's correct. It will likely happen towards the end of the completion of the park. I spoke to Amy briefly about it a couple of weeks ago, and once the park is fully complete, we expect that the cairn will be part of the park.
It's going to be a great feature. Thanks. My second question, if I might, Madam Mayor. Where's the money coming from? How much money have we collected in cash in lieu of parkland, and is any of that money being used to fund this?
Through you, Your Worship, to Deputy Mayor Barclay once again. I don't have the exact breakdown. I'd have to get that to you at a later date, Deputy Mayor. If I do recall, we did use a portion of development charges as well as cash in lieu of parkland to fund this. But without knowing the exact amounts, I will get that to you at a later time.
Thanks. That'd be appreciated.
Councillor Sullivan?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Director Guy. This is a a great project, and I know that the people in Tempo will be thrilled to have this park and see it finished and open, at least phase one. So it's a great design. I think it looks awesome. I just wondered, I see there's parking spots, but I don't see, the print is small though, about bike racks in there so that people who use active transportation and bike to the park, are there places that they can park their bikes? And the other thing is, I see one, oh, that's good, one bench, but I'm wondering if there's, oh, I do see a bike rack. Perfect. Good, thank you, that's awesome. I wondered though, is it possible that the commemorative gift donation of benches and bike racks could be maybe a little more promoted so that people who would like to maybe donate more benches or donate a bike rack for this area would be aware that that funding is available and that program's available.
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor O'Sullivan. Absolutely. I mean, we can work with communications to highlight our commemorative program to make sure that people are aware. I can tell you that it's heavily used. Mr. Peshnik, who's here tonight, could probably tell you how many commemorative benches and bike racks they've installed, but it's always good to remind people of the various programs that we have, and we can certainly do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Guy, just to go back, in terms of which portion of this project may be DC eligible, did I hear you say a portion of the investment is DC eligible, or is it 100% of the project that would be DC eligible?
There would be certain, it is a new park, and we could probably attribute it to some of it to growth, if not all of it to growth. It would be something that I'd want to confirm with Director of Planning, Amy Martin, and our Director of Finance to ensure how many funds we can actually use through DCs to use to fund this project.
Okay, great. So we look forward to getting more information. I assume that'll be part of your deliberations moving into the 2025 budget. Did we pre-allocate funding for this particular request, irregardless of what might be DC eligible? As a council, did we do that in 2024? Oh, you don't have a mic? Maybe you can borrow your colleagues. They do.
Yes, we would have, that would have been done in 2024, certainly. We may even had funds in 2023 for the design part of it, but certainly there would have been funds through the 2024 budget and a breakdown how that money was to be, where the money was coming from for this project. So I will definitely get that information back to council as to how the breakdown is of this funding.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sullivan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to Director Guy. With respect to phase two, what is the projected date for moving forward with phase two? And is there a plan to start funding or saving funding or reserving money for phase two?
Now it's working again. Okay. Again, through you, Mayor Packford, to Councillor O'Sullivan. We haven't given that a lot of consideration at this point. Phase two, we were more concerned about getting the active part of phase one. I was also provided some information through planning and public works about properties, I believe, straight south of phase two, where there could be some future development, and then a potential of assistance from that development in terms of outfitting phase two. Thought maybe it was a good idea to wait and see how that land, how those lands are developed, thank you, before we proceed with phase 2.
Okay, then. Any other questions in regards to this before we move with the award of the tender? If not, then I will read the recommendation that's been prepared. And that is that council award tender PRC 2443 for the Heron's Nest Park construction installation to ASL contractors for $323,940.50. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, council colleagues? Councillor Wilson, thank you. Councillor O'Sullivan, thank you. Anything else? Seeing no hands, I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Great. Next, we'll go to K-point 6.2, and that's the community sport and recreation infrastructure funding.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And before I start on the application and the project itself, I just want to, Mr. Peshnik is here tonight. If there's any details about the actual works that are being proposed, he probably can provide you more detailed answers than I, so that's why Joe's in attendance, and I appreciate you coming, Joe. So, as council is aware, the provincial government announced community and sport recreation infrastructure funding in August at the AMO conference in downtown Ottawa. It's a $200 million fund through the province of Ontario. There's 2 streams. Stream 1 is for the repair and upgrade of existing sport and recreation facilities. It's an asset management driven stream as part of the overall funding program. Stream 2 is for building new and transformative sport and recreation facilities. Stream 1 has a deadline to apply, which is October 29th of this year. Stream 2 has no deadline to apply, although they do encourage municipalities to get Stream 2 applications in as soon as possible. All projects must be completed within 2 years after entering into a transfer payment agreement, and the hard deadline for all projects to be completed is March 31st, 2027. So I spoke with Parks and Rec staff, mainly Joe, about potential projects for Stream 1. Certainly, we just completed or have 90% completed the rehab of the Maplewood Hall. We're working on a design for an upgrade to the Armory facility, in which we did receive funding. And based on the work that we're doing right now, the public consultation for the former Oxford Mills Town Hall, it's not a facility that we thought was, ready to put in an application for this fund for. So Joe and I had a conversation. He brought 2 projects to me. One was to do some work in Arena 2, but we do have a reserve fund for this building. So there is a funding stream for work to be done at North Grenville Municipal Center, and the other one was the outdoor pool. Was to replace and rehab the filtration system, rehab to the pool basement, coping stones and tile replacement, and the installation of an accessible ramp into the pool. The estimated costs are $746,500, of which 50% of this would be eligible for funding. As I mentioned, Joe is here tonight to answer any questions. Joe and I did attend a webinar on both streams held by the province on August 27th to learn, and we are told applying for both streams does not have any impact on whether you apply for Stream 1 or Stream 2. So that is what we were told. We do feel that this project fits with the objectives of Stream 1. These are community assets, and they're at the end of their useful life. Joe can speak a little bit more on that. And it'll provide opportunities for municipalities to maintain current assets that are providing valuable recreation opportunities to their communities. So as I said, the grant is due October 29th. So I'd be happy to answer any questions related to this, or Joe. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's great to have a project like the outdoor pool ready to go. And, you know, from my experience looking at funding opportunities in my former life with a variety of different federal and provincial departments, it's really important, first come, first serve to a certain extent. I'm sure it's very competitive. As soon as the province dangles $200 million in front of the municipalities, you know, they're all raring to go. But also from my experience, I know ultimately you could have the best recommendation to staff going forward, but if the minister makes his decisions, it's usually a political decision. So I would question the advice that you got from staff about it being both streams are eligible to one municipality. I just don't think it's likely, from my limited experience, and I stand to be corrected, that if we went forward with an application for the pool renovations, which are badly needed, I understand, that we would probably not be looked on favorably for the other stream. I mean, they've got $200 million, 440 municipalities looking for it. So I'm not sure whether we should move forward without more, you know, testing the waters and seeing, testing that advice that you got from staff. I don't know if we can do a little bit more research to find out, in fact, whether we're jeopardizing any application to Stream 2. So I don't know how you feel about that, but I understand that the deadline's fast approaching, but I'm not prepared to make a decision tonight, one way or another. I would recommend deferring so that we can get more information.
Through you, Your Worship, to Deputy Mayor Barclay. I can understand your concerns around, you know, there's 200 million and it's probably going to be oversubscribed. Staff can only sort of go on what we were told. We felt it was important to bring an application forward to council for conversation. We have a number of existing recreation facilities that require work and rehabilitation, and this was an opportunity to potentially get some funding. I can also see your point on Stream 2. It's hard to know, you know, we were told to apply for both, one application per stream. However, if it's, you know, council's wish for us to try and come back with more information, I'm happy to do that too.
I guess my point is that it may not be something that staff could check out. And I think maybe if we look at whatever context we have with the ministry at a political level, I don't know if that might give us more information to make a decision. So I don't think it's something that I could ask you to find out, because you'll be speaking to your equivalent at the ministry. But I think it's a political decision ultimately that we'll decide.
Maybe just to provide more context, given the conversation we had with the Minister of Sports, Rec and Culture in August at the Association of Municipalities of Ontario conference, an opportunity to apply for Stream 2 obviously was part of that discussion. Certainly, and that proposal is in light of a recent MOU between the French Catholic School Board, who is building a brand new $10 million school on the campus, and the municipality in regards to a possible sports dome, multi-use sports dome. So as per the announcement in May about the possibility of exploring the establishment of a sports dome, it came to our attention in our conversation with the Minister of Sports, Rec and Culture that there may be very good alignment between that particular proposed facility and Stream 2. So I think at the end of the day, the calculation is, certainly I think it is definitely the case that municipality can apply for both streams, but whether or not at this time it makes sense to sort of step back for a week and just see if we can get more information on the viability of having two applications, albeit for two different streams in play. It might be good to see if we can just get a little more information. I think the report is, as Deputy Barclay said, quite helpful. We understand that all of our assets need to be maintained, and it's good to be thinking ahead. So I think it's just at this stage, perhaps we could take a little more time to sort of see if we can get some more insight, see what some other municipalities are doing in and around us. I know on our Hughes funding, where we were looking at the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund, we did have some conversations with other municipalities to see how they were approaching that fund. So it might just be beneficial for me to have a chat with how some other municipalities are approaching the fund. I'm at the counties very often, as you know, so I'd be happy to do that. That would just give us a little more time. We do have a special council meeting, as I've been reminded by Ms. Preston, next Tuesday, so we have an opportunity to, at that time, consider whether or not pursuing a Stream 1 application is optimal, if you will, given some of the considerations that are in play. So that's my read of the landscape right now. I think a deferral certainly could be prudent. We don't lose the opportunity, but we gain a little bit of time to see how we might be able to approach this. So with that, I'll recognize Councillor Strachan.
Thank you, through Madam Mayor, to Director Guy, or perhaps Joe, this is a question for you. Are you able to provide a little bit more information regarding the state of the pool? I know you're talking about nearing end of life and so on. Is the situation imminent that next year's, aquatics program would be at risk, or are we talking about something that should be completed within X number of years? If you're able to clarify a little bit more, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So the anticipated work is to phase it if we're not successful for this grant program, like starting in 2026, the future, chip away at it, and in 2026 have this, 2027 just a phased approach based on priorities of the operation, and kind of, although 2026 is a couple years away, things could change. As noted in the report, the pool is susceptible to weather events and freeze-thaw cycles. So the pool it's almost 50 years old. So we are, or this might be its third asset replacement or rehabilitation in its lifespan at this point. So if that helps.
It does, if I may, Madam Mayor. I think that what you're saying right now is that you could look at it from a phased approach, notwithstanding this funding necessarily, but look at items that need to be built into the budget over the next several years to start tackling some of the repairs, and that it's not imminent failure that we're looking at. It's just that there's work that needs to be done and planned for. Is that an accurate
correct
assessment?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I also understand there's a Parks and Rec reserve fund, and that there are certainly, when we have a better handle on the status of that fund, that might be able to give us some insight into how we could phase in, obviously certain repairs that are important. So, but I know you don't have all that information yet, as we do an end of year calculation on all of our reserve funds. So appreciate that isn't something that we can bring into the conversation this evening.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and we can speak with our finance staff to see where we are at reserve funds. And I think, just to Joe's point, certainly we can look at phasing some of the works. I think we just saw this as an opportunity to try and get it done sooner. But from our conversations, we would need to do something as early as 2026, but maybe some components can wait. As an example, we looked at installing a new accessible ramp into the pool. That's not a rehab, that would be something new. So that could be something that we, apply for funding for down the road type thing.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear in that I think it's a very valuable use of Stream 1 funding. But my question more specifically, total application would be for $750,000 or $746,000, and it's 50% funding on that, so 50 cent dollars. So we'd be looking at about $350,000 or more. Yeah. Is there a cap on the amount of funding? I mean, for the program, do you know if there's a limit in terms of how much funding is available? I mean, 50% up to a certain point, I imagine.
Through you, Mayor Packford to Deputy Mayor, you have to submit a project that is at least $150,000.
Okay.
And I believe the cap on Stream 1 is 1 million.
Okay. And to Madam Mayor, the talk of a sports dome, do you have any kind of ballpark of what we would be looking for in terms of funding through Stream 2? The amount of dollars we could be asking for?
Certainly, in conversations with the French Catholic Board, their estimate on a sports dome is approximately 8 million. That's a guesstimate based upon conversations that I think many of us were in when we did the tour of the sports dome in Stittsville. So I think the question would be, how much would we be eligible to apply for? Is it 50 cent dollars for Stream 2? I presume it may be, but so I defer that to Mr. Guy.
It is. I think the one pager that we received says in exceptional circumstances, you potentially could get 70% funding, but I don't know exactly what that,
Right.
What they look at as exceptional circumstances, but it does say it is up to 70%. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the max amount you can apply for is $10 million.
It just reinforces my idea that if we take another week to figure out, just based on the premise that I have, again, stand to be corrected, that it's unlikely to get both, it would be best, in my mind, to go after more money than less money.
So can I consider that you're moving a deferral?
I'd move to defer for a week,
Okay.
a decision.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councilor Strachan, seconds. Thank you. Okay. And certainly, I think what I can do is talk to some of my municipal neighbors, see what other mayors may be doing. I can tell you that this fund certainly has had lots of scrutiny and focus by neighboring municipalities. So everybody's hoping for a piece of the pie, to your point. So strategically, I think it'll be important to consider whether or not Stream 2 sort of represents a kind of a higher value, if you will, if, of course, we were successful. So definitely lots to consider, but we really appreciate the report and thank Parks and Rec staff for being vigilant. We know we've put a lot of money into Riverside Park as it is, so we want the community to enjoy maximum benefit 4 seasons of the year. And if I could just deviate slightly, when will we expect the outdoor rink to open for the season? Is that a December proposition? I guess you have to have it cold enough for the first freeze. Speaking of assets that we love to enjoy year round.
Thank you for the question. So it is really weather driven. So
Yeah.
if we continue to have a warm fall, it's definitely for Christmas. We're hoping to have it serviceable, but we're just really Mother Nature at this point.
And then you need a first thaw, is that right? Is that what happens? To get the arena up and running?
We definitely need.
Or sorry, freeze. I said thaw. I did not mean
we
that.
need cool weather,
Okay.
weaker suns. It really helps because when we have a strong spring sun, it impacts us. So if we get that nice fall cold weather, it'll really help us.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry. While my mind went there, thank you for indulging me. Okay, so we have a motion to defer for a week. We've got a mover and a seconder. Any other comments or questions? 848? 848, okay, good. Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Good, thank you. All right, that carries. So we look forward to getting back to you on that. Thanks for the information this evening. So with that, we are going to go to other business. No other business this evening. No notices of motion. Colleagues, any notices of motion? Okay, none. I think we've considered our bylaws this evening. I do not believe there is anyone remaining in our municipal theater. Anyone online? Okay. Then we'll go to our closing meeting, confirmation bylaw 8824 to confirm proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on October 15th be adopted and passed. A mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Sullivan, Deputy Mayor. I'll call the question. All in favor, confirmatory bylaw, and motion to adjourn, Councillor Wilson, Councillor Strakian, and that would be at 8:49 p.m. I'll call the question. All in favor. All right. Thank you for everyone's patience. We got started a little later. We had a bit of a break, but